Welcome to the Music for the Soul podcast, where we talk honestly about difficult things. This is a place where music, hope, and healing come together. I'm Becky Nordquist.
And I'm Steve Seiler. Thanks so much for joining us.
Today we are talking with the beautiful, talented Nita Whitaker. Oh my goodness, I have anticipated this interview all week. If you are not familiar, Nita has an extensive background of, she's been an ICU nurse, Miss Louisiana. She's worked with the great David Foster and toured with Andrea Bocelli, singing with Josh Groban, acting in a Tony-nominated play. She's been in numerous productions, movies and such. And I love your nonprofit too, the World with Books Initiative. And also, this is a personal favorite of mine. She was once on Star Search. I had to share that, Nita, because when I was like 13, I auditioned in Detroit, Michigan. I didn't make it.
Listen, it took me 5 tries. Listen, a lot of people didn't make it.
Don't you love how I just dusted that right out of the cobwebs for you?
Because people go, what is that? They only know American Idol.
Right. Yeah, that's right. I totally just aged myself too.
And me too, but that's okay.
It was a great show.
It was a great show. It was the precursor for what there is now. It was that show.
It's so funny because I was a fan of you before I was a fan. I didn't know who you were. I didn't make the connection till recently.
Oh, I love that.
And I'm so excited for your new book. I'm just ridiculously excited to get my hands on it. And yeah, I want to share some of that with my kids this year too, because it just sounds like a wonderful story. So
there's lots of, it's 42 stories, and you will.
Can't wait.
Gems planted in each one. It's
it was beautiful.
A gift to be able to write it, and for my dad at 96 to be here and in good and sound mind and body to be able to enjoy it, experience it, and to kind of be able to share the wealth of his knowledge with a greater audience. I mean, that's just to me everything.
And we need it. We just need that so much in our lives. It makes it so rich.
Yeah,
yes.
It does. It does.
Well, just so we make sure we don't forget to say the title, When Your Hand is in the Lion's Mouth, The Life and Wisdom of a Man Named Green is the title of the book.
That's it. And it's available ebook and audiobook as well.
And Nita is an award-winning author of other books, so you can trust the quality. And, I know this one comes from a special place in your heart. So
absolutely.
Pretty wonderful that you're able to share it too, and that he can enjoy it as well. That is really a blessing.
That's a bonus blessing, I call
it. There's one story I want to tell. Becky, when you were reading off the names of the famous people that Nita has sung with, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. We could spend a lot of time on that. But one story, do you remember when you played the Skirmahorn with Ben Vereen?
Yes.
Well,
and
you invited me to that.
Yes, I did. And you brought Stephanie.
I brought my daughter, Stephanie. Yes. And the thing that I remember about that night, Ben's a great entertainer. We all know that. Right. But in the middle of the show, he gave you a solo spot. Just one song. You had this beautiful gown on, and you came out and you just stunned the audience. Oh, I mean, the place went bananas. And I remember thinking, he's got a lot of guts to give her the center of the stage.
Well, that's a trust between performers. Like it also, when you bring a performer out and it's your show, you have to know that they know how to hand it back. Because for the moment, I got to encompass everything. And he allowed that. Some people are too insecure to allow that. But he came back and he did the rest of what he was doing, which was also wonderful. We are different animals, we're different. He's a whole song and dance guy, and I kind of like do my own whatever I do thing. He was I thought that was such an act of generosity that he allowed me to share that big stage with the orchestra. But he and I have a long, wonderful relationship. He gave me my first professional job when I moved out to Los Angeles.
Wow.
So I've known him that long. He was one of 2 best men in my wedding. So we have a history of deep love and affection. I call him my brother. My kids call him Uncle Ben. So it's that.
Pretty
So
neat.
there's a wonderful trust between us.
Well, he really impressed me that night by giving you that spot. He really did.
That was such a lovely thing. And of course, David Loeb's arrangement of Climb Every Mountain is,
Mm-hmm.
It's very special.
Yeah, if only the song were better.
Yeah. I remember I did another record project, and I said something about a mountain, and my daughters commented, not because they didn't understand. They said, "Mom, you're always talking about mountains and climbing." I said, "Wait until you've had to climb one, you'll understand." You haven't had a mountain yet. There will be some.
Oh, gosh. Well, speaking of climbing mountains, you and Don LaFontaine, were the first to support what was my very first project in ministry, which was a little tiny play called I Can't Talk About It for sexual abuse survivors. The key song in that piece was Innocent Child, which Becky has now recently recorded, and we're working.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah.
I remember that sweet play. I remember that sweet song. We were so moved by it because, especially at that time, who did you tell?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's so much more open now, but who did you go to if you weren't believed?
Right.
You're making it up. How do you say that? It gave such voice to those voiceless people that had gone through that experience. So
yeah, thank you so much for supporting that. I can't emphasize that enough because it very much was my story.
wow.
As a little girl, little pastor's kid, I couldn't talk about it and I couldn't share, and I was sworn to secrecy to protect the church. And so these songs are just, I mean, this is really dear to my heart. And I actually, Steve hadn't shared that with me before this conversation, and it makes me want to cry because I'm so grateful. Thank you so much.
Well, Don and I were in complete harmony when something struck our hearts. We would look at each other, be like, okay, whatever this is, we're doing it. And right away, when we saw that, we just looked at each other and said, well, how do we help him keep this going forward? And look what it's become.
Well, that's what I want to say is that your support of that very first ministry project laid the foundation for what Music for the Soul has become. Huge. That's what I was talking about when I was talking about before we started the interview. We were talking off mic, and I was just saying, thinking of this conversation last night and being so mightily blessed by all the track record we have, by all the ground we've covered together. And of course, that for me being a very, very key piece, God used you guys to encourage somebody who I honestly, at that point, I had no idea what I was doing. And it's questionable whether I know what I'm doing now, but for sure, I didn't know then.
Well, everybody has to start somewhere. It was your beginning, but that seed had been planted. And I love what Music of the Soul does, how it talks about things that we maybe don't talk about, except in the small groups or quiet corners. Right. It talks about the things that assault our hearts, that assault our spirit.
Yes.
And the way that music can get in the cracks where nothing else can.
Yep.
And that's what this ministry, and I thank God for you and keeping, how many years, Steve?
This is the start of our 21st year, Nita.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of good God love favor put into the app. We need that. Oh, we need that so much. Keep going.
Thank you. You know how else you encouraged me? If you're going to remember this too, later on, you invited me to write on a song called So the World May Hear for the Starkey Foundation for kids who needed hearing aids. And that was another piece of encouragement that you guys gave me, that you guys would trust me to be involved in that project. And
well, you're such a brilliant writer. You're such a brilliant writer and musician. And when I thought of that song, I said, I have to write this with Steve because of Forgotten Eyes. Do you remember? I first met
now you're going in the Wayback Machine, girl.
Tony Warren had done a demo for you.
Yes.
A song for retinitis pigmentosa.
Correct.
And he played it for me, and I was like, oh my gosh, this lyric, this melody, who wrote this song? He said, I'll introduce you. And we met, and I have since sung that song because it still works. You just take For the Eyes of Tomorrow. We can light the darkness. It's still such a great lyric. And so I knew you wrote that. I knew you could write anthemic song, which is what you do. One of the many things you do so well. That's one of the gifts God gave to you that He just poured all over you. But such good stuff. So that song, it's the theme song that they use over and over and over and
Yeah.
over and over again.
And it's the first thing I ever heard you sing. You know that, right? I came to one of your gigs and you were singing it. Yeah.
Oh, because
Yeah.
I still love that song. It is in
Oh,
my
thank you.
repertoire. I'll pull it off, dust it out, and just it still works. It's a good one. You
Well,
have to know this one, Becky. You'll love it because it works for a lot of things.
Well, let me fast forward a little bit because you've played a role in 4 Music for the Soul projects. I don't know if you even realize that. You did a reading on More Beautiful, our project for breast cancer survivors. You sang a vocal on the Dignity for Caregivers project. And you sang our Christmas song, The Lord Sent a Child. And probably most importantly, at least to me, you were the female voice on our Drink Deep project. And when it came time to do that project, I really wanted to do something different, very intimate, just 2 voices, 1 man, 1 woman. And, I know you had suffered some very difficult losses. Don's death was quite recent then.
Right.
And I almost hesitated to ask you. I thought this is kind of invasive and feels, but I thought, but gosh, I think Nita would want to do this. So I called you and you said yes. And just, you know what? Since I'm gushing all over everything here, why don't we just play a little bit of Drink Deep and then we can talk about it.
You don't have to put a brave face on for me. Rage if you're angry. This is not the time to keep things nice and neat. Though it seems today like you could never heal. There's no way to escape the things you feel. So drink deep of the sorrow, drink deep of the pain. Don't let anybody tell you to get out of the rain. This is your cup and you're the one who has to drink. Though the taste may go down bitterly, drink deep.
So Nita, tell us what your experience was like doing that project.
Well, I know for me personally, and I think for most singers, when you sing from a place of knowing, there is a different vulnerability that can come through the song. And you set up such a beautiful melody and lyric, and for me, a lived experience. Every single tear, drink deep, right out of the scripture. You just pulled it right out of the scripture. And it was healing, because grief has levels, grief has stages. You think you're okay, and then you're 2, and you see something that triggers you, and you're on the floor. So it's an ebb and flow. The healing process. You're not okay after a year. You may be not okay after 5. You just have to find your way. And the song spoke to me so deeply and so personally, because grief is personal. Like I couldn't control or help my daughters through theirs. They had to find their own way through it. I could be there to be a shepherd and a guide and arms to hold them. But I had to find my own way through the loss of my husband. And I felt like I was singing to heal myself. That's what I felt like. Almost, and you're really good with that. You chosen and called me for things that I think you understood I had a knowing about.
Right.
And in doing so, you can, and that doesn't always have to be the case. A singer can sing whatever and make it real, but there is some level of vulnerability that really comes through. And I love it. Was simple, just the instruments, and it was so that the voice was really present. You can almost hear the breath.
Right. Way up front.
Way up front. And it was so still. and emotional, but I felt like I sang it to heal me. And
That's
so
such
it was a
That's
gift to
beautiful.
me.
That's beautiful. I have to say, as just a person who has gotten to experience that and recently gifted quite a few of those drink deep things. I love the lyric of till the taste of
Mm,
bitter turns to bittersweet.
bittersweet.
And,
Oof.
you just hit the nail on the head in every way. But when you just said basically that there isn't a timeline for grief, everybody has to find their path and they have to have their own pair of hiking boots for that mountain, right? And
Right.
one pair doesn't fit another person the same way. And definitely, I just am so blessed by your vocal and the lyric. It's just a beautiful, beautiful kind of a marriage made in heaven, so to speak.
I
It's
have given it
calming
to
and
so
beautiful.
many friends. I have a friend currently who's going through a very sudden loss of her father, and they were
Mm,
really very close. And that's going to be hard for all of us, or whenever we
yeah.
have to stand at that door. And she wrote me back and she said, "How did you know I needed this?" Because she's a
Mm,
singer, and she had just been wrestling with faith.
yeah.
why did you take my dad? She was wrestling with all,
Mm.
Right.
like we do. We're human, and
Yep.
she was like, she felt anger, and the longing was there, and they were so. She looks exactly like her dad, big energy, big spirit. He was a beautiful person,
Mm.
and she's still in the first year, and I sent it to her, and first of all, I said, "Do you have a CD player?" Because nobody can
Right.
have one anymore. I said, "I hope you have a CD player because you need to hear this record."
Yeah.
And I knew it would speak to the God that is in her, that is still trying to say, "I'm right here. I'm right here. I
Mm.
didn't leave you. I didn't leave you." And she wrote me back and said, "Oh my gosh, how did you know this was exactly what I needed?" She said,
Yeah.
"I've played this record so many times that when I feel like I'm just going to explode or burst, the music,
Hmm.
those lyrics were able to get in." So yeah, it's thank you, Becky, for your sweet words. But yeah, it's
Mm.
a beautiful project, and there's nothing really out there like it. There really isn't that talks about it, and in a gentle,
Yeah.
faith-based way. It
Hmm.
doesn't like don't question God, or it doesn't say anything. It just says feel what you're feeling. Go
Yeah.
ahead and cry. Get those tears out. I mean, that's what we need to hear. People, we need to have
Yeah.
permission to do that.
Don't you think that's a great representation of who God really is? All
Yes.
of these things that we don't know how to deal with. He's going, yeah, I didn't create you to have to deal with loss and death, and it doesn't make sense, but I'm here and I'm angry and I'm sorrowful too. And I just love that it's not, okay, this is really, really awful, really, really hard. Okay, here's the answer and get over it now. Because that's
Right.
not how life works. And this
Absolutely.
song is just beautiful in that, just in that picture of allowing it to just be what it is in the moment and walking through it honestly.
Said so beautifully and succinctly. Really lovely. I
You
agree.
know, we decided that we would spend more time on lament than on the traditional types of comfort. So it's a 14 song project, and the first 9 songs stay in the lament
Mm.
because I feel like there's a shortage of honest songs about that. And when Scott Kerpane and Tony Wood and I went on the retreat to create the songs, there was a lot of crying and there was a lot of anger and there was a lot. I mean, it was an honest time. And writing songs like Ambush. You talked about the way it'll come back around. It's like just being able to name some of those
Those feelings.
hard, yeah, the hard, sad places for people and do it honestly. So,
And that song, Everyone Grieves Differently. Great.
mhm.
I mean, because how you may take it, everybody holds everything different. I mean, it's a lovely, lovely project. I wish that it would be in every funeral home, like so that people could, this is a parting gift for you. You need, when
Mhm.
you have a moment, sit down and listen to this. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Really accessible.
That's one of the reasons we created the gift card format, because I always felt like somebody passes and you want to be there for them. So you send them a card. But let's face it, you get a card, you go, oh, that's so nice. You put it on the mantle maybe for a week or two, and then it's in a drawer.
Absolutely.
And grief, one of the counselors we work with on the project said that it actually takes 16 months to go through all the different stages of grief once.
Yeah.
and that it all cycles back around. It's like a spiral staircase, and you see it from different vantage points as you move away from it, but you just keep coming back to some of the same emotions. And it's very messy. It's not like, oh, he finished stage 1. Now it's going to stage 2.
Absolutely. No Kubler-Ross, honey. Kubler-Ross does not work.
It's like 1, 8, 3, 9, 15, 4. Yeah, it's all over the place.
It's all over the place. I agree. It's such a huge thing, and there's no way to prepare for grief.
No.
Just when you know it when you're in it, and you just try to find your way through it the best you can.
With the before we said hello, that people will be gifted that, and it'll be over a year later before they can even touch the book,
Absolutely.
But the music, and I was going to ask you this, Nita, have you found in your life that music has been such a wonderful catalyst of God to uphold you through the darkest moments? And what would you say, do you have a song that's been just really key for you in the darker moments of your life that just comes to you and brings you comfort?
Oh my gosh, there's been a couple. 23rd Psalms, when I was Donnie was going through his treatments, and things were shifting, and then the days after he went ahead, it was that scripture would wake me up. I would be speaking it when I woke up. Though I walk through the valley, I will fear no evil. Though I walk through the valley. It would just be playing like that, and I would just get up and I would walk the halls and pray over my children and walk back. Couldn't sleep, that scripture. So when I think of Psalms 23, that's one that Steve did so beautifully. The other one, turn your eyes on Jesus, and the things of this world shall go. That song. And the other one is Total Praise. Total Praise is a Richard Smallwood song, but it's Lord, I will lift mine eyes to the hills, knowing my help cometh from you. The peace you give me in the time of the storm. You are the source of my strength. You are the source of my life. I lift my hands in total praise. But that song, man, has lifted me through many. It's a song that's more than 20 years old, but it's one of those ones. And the other thing, I go back to old 100s. I grew up in a rural Baptist, Southern Baptist, Black Baptist church in a field. And there was a call and response kind of song where let's call out the song. And I go back to that because that music is still comforting for me. I'll just, if I'm going through something, I love the Lord. He heard my cry. And I'll just walk around the house and I just kind of sing. And my children know if I'm singing a hymn like that, they know, okay, mama's going through something.
Do they answer? Do they answer is what I want to know.
Yeah, they do.
I love it.
They've been in that kind of church, but they weren't steeped in it the way I was.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's something about music though that gets in. That's what I love. The presentation of Drink Deep is in that envelope, and because like I said, I couldn't read anything.
Right.
I couldn't take in anything in those first 8 months. A neighbor bought me. She said, "I've got a great book. Read it when you can," because she had gone through loss. She left 3 books at my doorstep. I looked at them. I couldn't even pick them up. I couldn't read. I couldn't take anything in. It was just so consuming. And when I was able to take something in, it was music.
Right.
That was the first. It was just, maybe it was some Beethoven. It was just music without words because it had to go slow for me.
Yes.
You can just lean back and close your eyes and let music wash over you.
Yes.
And that's, I had a therapist tell me that one time that she felt that what was so effective about Music for the Soul was that when you're going through any kind of trauma or pain, you can't read. And even if you do read, you realize you didn't retain anything.
Not a thing.
Right. So if you can just close your eyes and let a healing message wash over you, then maybe a little bit of that can get in. And when you put it with a melody, it's going to be more memorable. So the things that you need to remember are going to stick with you. Well, you mentioned your daughters a couple of times. Why don't you tell us a little bit about them? Because I know that they're turning the world upside down out there. So,
well, I've got 2 artists that I gave birth to, and they are on their own roads. One, my firstborn daughter is finding her way in the world that her dad lived in, which is voiceover. She's not really doing promo as much. She's focused more on games, animation, And I think she's done an audiobook. She just did a podcast. So as the work comes in, she's like, yes, yeah, I can do that. Yes, I can do that. Don't know quite where she's going to land in it all, but she loves it. And she's really good at it because she was always a gifted reader. She was reading at 3 with inflection. My second born is a goofball and a total funny girl. They have their dad's wit and sly sarcasm.
He was a funny man.
Wasn't it funny? And it's just a goofball, really. People think he was this stoic guy. Completely not. When he had to be, he could be, but he really was such a marshmallow. And they got all of that. They got all of that. But she is a singer and an actor and a dancer. And she has been twice on the West End. Right, currently, she's the star of Moulin Rouge on the West End. And she did Dreamgirls 5 years ago with Amber Riley, where she played Dina Jones, also in London. So she's over there living her best life. And she, this artistic road is not always straight. You don't always have a job. You don't, there's in between times.
Mm-hmm.
But she has found that she's really good at this. There are other things I know she wants to do, but it's just wonderful for her to be the lead of a show on the West End and packed every night.
So great.
It's pretty phenomenal. So I'm so proud of my girls. When your kids find their lane, whatever that is for them, it's like a big gift to us.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, because it's not like you get out of school if you're an artist and you have a job. It's not like you're a songwriter, like you're going to sell a song. It just doesn't. It's not linear. It's a zigzag path. We know. And you just, when you get the job, you got to string that money out till the next job comes. Where I call us gig workers. That's what we do. Work from gig to gig.
Well, I just can't figure out where they got all that talent from. I'm confused.
No idea. They just picked it up somewhere from the neighbor.
The neighbor.
Well, I want to make sure to give you enough time to tell us a little bit more about this book that you've just released about your dad. Can you share some of that with us?
Absolutely. The book is, again, the title, When Your Hand is in the Lion's Mouth, The Life and Wisdom of a Man Named Green. Now, that title is a metaphor for a lot of things, but there are 42 stories in the book. Each story has some lessons packed in it. This one came in a chapter where I called my dad when I was in a situation that was bigger than me, and I didn't know how to handle it or how to get out of it. And he gave me that little nugget, when your hand is in the lion's mouth, pat his head. It's like the same idea. There's more, you can get more from a bee with honey and vinegar. But when something is so big, what I think about it is life is going to present us with lots of things that are bigger than us, lions, if you will, that want to seem to devour you, own you, take you away you don't want to go. What do you do? What do you do in those situations? And that little thing about pat his head is just stay calm. Stay calm. Don't overreact. Pat his head, get what you need, and then gently get out. And I was in a situation where someone had a plane ticket, and I wanted to leave, and I couldn't leave because he had the plane ticket because he had flown us down there, and I didn't like the situation we were in. I had a girlfriend with me. I never went alone. And I called my dad. I said, Dad, this guy is doing this, and he didn't do it, and he didn't. And Dad said, now be cool. You got your hand in the lion's mouth. Now you got to pat his head. Like, what? He said, don't act a monkey. What does that mean, Dad? Stay cool. Now, if you need me to come get you, I will. But when you get your ticket, until you get your ticket, you have to be cool. So, and that got me through. So I figured, okay, I had to fix my face and figure out how I was going to get to the situation. I did get to see the reason that we'd gone to that place. I don't want to give it away because I want you to read it. I want you to read it. But it's a very funny story. It really is. But it was a piece of life, Jim. And the book is all about that. The book is some lived experiences that my dad had where he learned several things, done that for himself. Each chapter title is something he lived, something he experienced and learned from, or something he told me.
And like the person that you want to be,
Absolutely.
You can glean so much from different people and just take that on yourself. I love that because some people, they just don't know, you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And this gives a great opportunity for people to learn and add to their toolbox too. It's so good.
That's my hope.
Nita, remind people where they can get in contact with you and where they can find the book.
Okay, you could reach me by email, nita@nitawhitaker.com. Also through Facebook, Nita Whitaker. My Instagram is at @SoPranty Girl. That's on purpose because I'm a Southern girl. Sopranty is how we used to say it when we were joking. SOPRANTY girl, like Granny on the Beverly Hillbillies. Does anybody know that show? She would say she's a Sopranty. Nobody gets that, but you guys will get it. So that's why. That's a Pranty Girl. And the book can be found on Amazon. We have ebook, a paperback, and also audiobook. And my dad is a part of the audiobook. He is singing and he narrates each of the chapter titles. And then there's a little interview, a bonus track at the end. You got to hear my dad. He's so great. He's so great. And there's some music scattered in different parts of the book.
Well, thanks so much, Nita. This has been an absolute blast. And
It
we
always is.
We managed to talk about grief, which is hard, but we also managed to talk about life and the goodness of family. So I hope people have been blessed all the way around. I know I have.
Me too.
Me three. This has been great. And there's just such a communion and kinship between people who have like hearts. And I'm honored to meet you, Becky. And Steve, your friendship has been just always a blessing in my life. And I hope you keep going with this wonderful music that you do to help us all heal in whatever way we need healing. Thank you for your work.
You're welcome. Thank you, Nita.
Well, thank you so much, Nita, for blessing us today and hanging out with us here at Music for the Soul podcast. If you enjoyed the discussion today, please share it with a friend and give us a positive review on iTunes.
Then please visit our website, musicforthesoul.org, where you can stream or download every song in our catalog, including Drink Deep and the songs from that project. Read our lyrics, our healing music guide, our blog posts, and much, much more. Thank you for listening, and God bless.
You don't have to put a brave face on for me. Rage if you're angry. This is not the time to keep things nice and neat. Though it seems today like you could never heal. There's no way to escape the things you feel. So drink deep of the sorrow, drink deep of the pain. Don't let anybody tell you to get out of the rain. This is your cup and you're the one who has to drink, though the taste may go down bitterly. Drink deep. Stare at the pictures. Feel the ache of better days gone by. Wrestle with the questions. It's okay to keep on asking why. There'll be those who try to rush you through the grief, but I'm here to say, take all the time you need to drink deep of the sorrow, drink deep of the pain. Don't let anybody tell you to get out of the rain. This is your cup and you're the one who has to drink. Though the taste may go down bitterly, drink deep. There's no way around drink deep of the sorrow, drink deep of the pain. Don't let anybody tell you to get out of the rain. This is your cup, and you're the one who has to drink till the taste of bitter turns to bittersweet. Drink